Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm Andy RC and today I'm going to show you how to convert 30 frames per second video into 60 frames per second video. Now why might you want to do that? Well, if you're rocking an old Mobius camera, the quality of them is very good at 1080p, but it only outputs at 30 frames per second. Now for me personally, if I've got a quadcopter that's got a really good tune, then the video footage is going to look much better in 60 frames per second. It's going to look smoother, and that is my preference. Plus all of my other gear, the camera that I use to do my reviews runs at 60 frames per second, so I just like to keep it at that. It is my personal preference. So recently I built a 130 size quadcopter on the channel, and it wasn't big enough to carry a Foxeer Legend 1 camera or a GoPro camera. So what I did was I put an 808/16 camera on it, which outputs at 720p 30 frames per second, and then I used a program to convert it to 60 frames per second. Now this method isn't just going to double up the frames, because that isn't going to work. What it's going to do is it's going to guess what the frames in between are going to look like, and it's going to input them and make the video smoother, and I think it works really effectively. So let me show you how I do that. I use this program called Hybrid. It is a free program. I will put a link in the description. The first thing that we need to do is select the input file. So I have a file here that was made by the 808/16. We then need to choose an output file, which is this one here. So I'm going to call it 808/16 and then save. Now we need to set the codec to X264. I find this the best codec for the best quality. You can choose other ones if you like. So under audio handling, you're going to need to select custom. And what that's going to do is make another tab appear up the top here for audio, so we can change our audio encode settings. So this is going to save as an MP4. The next thing that we need to do is go over to the X264 tab, and we need to change the restriction settings to 4.1. You don't need to change anything else there. Under encoding mode, I like to set it to 2 pass. That means it's going to do an analytic pass, and then it's going to do a second pass and save the file. Then we need to change the target mode to custom, and then the bitrate. I set it pretty high. So what you need to do is have the bitrate at least double what the camera saved it as. For example, the 808/16 saves at 10 megabit, or I think it's 7 or 8 megabit. I set it to 10. So you at least want to have it at 20 megabit because we're doubling the frames up. But what I like to do is set it even higher than that. It's going to create a big file, but what I usually do is, after I'm done with this program, is I put it in a video editing software such as Premiere, and then that compresses it even more, so I have the bitrate set fairly high. By the way, you can do this in Premiere, but it takes a really long time to do, and this program is the quickest that I have found. So the bitrate is set to 35 here. So the next thing that I'm going to do is just tab over here. We don't need anything on the crop or resize. I'm just going to have it go out as the input, but you can change that here if you like. Now under filtering, we're going to need to go into AVI synth, and then where it says frame, click that, and then FPS adjust, tick that, and select into frame. So it's going to insert frames. Now under tuning, there are various different presets that you can use. It recommends film, but I found that smooth gives me the best result. And then under override algorithm, I select that to smooth as well. Then of course target frame rate, you need to set that to 60. So that's everything done there. It's pretty simple. Of course, the last thing that we need to do is go under audio, and we need to add an audio track to the queue, otherwise it won't save any audio, it'll come up with an error. So we need to tick audio encoding options. I usually choose AAC. And the bitrate, I usually have it a bit higher. However, the audio isn't very good off this 808 cam, so I'll probably set it about 320, something like that. And then what we need to do is add this to the queue, so there's a little plus button there. And that's just going to add the audio track to the file that we save. So now if we go back to the main screen here, we then also need to add the video to the queue. So we press add there, And then if we go up here now, this will start the queue and it will start processing. It will first encode the audio and then the video. So you can go away, have a drink, and then come back, and hopefully you will have a nice, smooth video in 60 frames per second. Okay, so that has finished, so let's check out the file that it has saved. So that's the original there, and if we go on to properties and then go into details, it will say 30 frames per second, and then the new file, go properties and then details, 60 frames per second. So what I will do now is put both of the videos side by side, and what you should be able to see is the 30 frames per second video looks a little bit more jaggedy and a little bit more jerky. It's kind of hard to see when they are both side by side. You really get the full effect of 60 frames per second when it's full screen. So there you go, that is my video on how to convert 30 frames per second video into 60 frames per second video. I hope you found it useful. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.